It's the end of 2022 and I can't quite believe how quickly this year has galloped away. And I'm super aware of time and how quickly it passes, and always really worried that I'm going to squander an opportunity through not being focused and not constantly driving forward. So setting objectives is a very important part of me making sure that we as a team and me as an individual athlete get the most out of what we're doing. At the beginning of 2022, we kind of focused our objectives around the race calendar in 2022, and it was all about me learning to compete with foils. But also for the team, because we're such a new team and many of the people working with us don't come from the world of offshore racing, we wanted to kind of set objectives of the team learning how to manage races, learning how to get me and the boat prepared for races, learning how to work with our partners and work with the media and tell the story and make sure everybody is getting value out of what we're doing. We started with a training session in Cascais in the early year, which was kind of, for the team, it was getting to learn what life was like on the road. For me, it was a really intensive period of working with coaches and kind of like the hard jump in the deep end of going fast with foils, and that really set me up for the year. And I need to say a massive thank you to Jack Patel and Ben Schwartz, who came and coached me during that time. We went into our first race, which was the Bermuda Meal. It was the team's first opportunity to do a race start, and it was fairly low key. I think they kind of delivered that really well. I felt like it wasn't my best race, and I struggled a bit with I think the pressure of the race start. We then almost straight away went into the Vendée Arctique, and that was our first opportunity of hosting partners at a race start. So for me, the race went a lot better. I was gutted that it was cut short, but I had taken the lessons I'd learned from the Bermuda Meal into the Vendée Arctique and was really starting to be able to kind of press the performance pedal a bit more and had more confidence in myself. And again, the team, it was kind of in at the deep end for them because they'd never hosted sponsors before at a race start, but everybody walked away having had the most incredible experience. It was so positive and we enjoyed it. In the middle of the year, we did a Cows Week where we hosted Medallia, and again, a first for many people in the team. It went really well. We enjoyed being there, and then rapidly that followed round Britain and Ireland. So round Britain and Ireland was not an IMOCA racing event, but it was a very important British event, and I'm passionate about supporting British offshore racing. For me, it was the chance to sail with some incredible sailors and learn from them. One of the struggles that you have as a solo sailor is, there's no one to bounce ideas off. All your drive comes internally, and so to be able to sail with 4 excellent sailors, all with different ideas and different expertise, taught me a lot. I would have loved for there to be more wins, but there wasn't. But I still came out of that race having learned a huge amount, and Medallia won line honours, which was just a brilliant thing for us. Moving into the second half of the year, there was not so much sailing for me. We struggled a little bit with the weather, but then it gave us an opportunity to kind of invest in sorting out some of the little niggles that I discovered earlier on in the year. But our long-term objective for 2022 was just to consolidate everything for me and for the team. And the Route to Run was kind of going to be our proof of our learnings within the year. Now, just before the Route to Rome, I decided that I would have a crack at a world record attempt as well, which was unfinished business from 2020. And it was touch and go whether I had a go at that world record, but in the end I did, and on a very, very windy morning, I started in the dark, I set off and managed to break the outright world record for a monohull solo around the Isle of Wight, and it was a really great thing to do. Great that I managed it on my second attempt, and I'm super proud of the fact that it's an outright world record. It's not a women's record, it's a world record, and one of the things that I'm passionate about this class is it gives me the ability to compete on equal terms with everyone, and it doesn't matter how old we are, what gender we are, what we look like, how physically big we are. We compete on equal terms, and I love that aspect of it. And so to have gained that world record meant a lot to me going into the Route de Rome. I wasn't super confident going into the Route de Rome. I had a whole year's worth of learnings behind me, but the fleet has grown in the last year. There are a lot of new boats launched. It's getting tougher and tougher to compete in this class, and I'm not a massively confident person, and I think I was daunted by the lineup for the Route de Rome, and although I knew that we were looking good as a team and the boat was strong and we were well prepared, I think my confidence was knocked a bit by being amongst the presence of people who I really, really respect. And I maybe tempered my initial ambition for the Route de Rome a bit because I was worried about finishing, I was worried about damaging the boat, as well as being daunted by the competition. And I wouldn't say I had the best start to the race, but there's something that happens when I spend a bit of time on the water. It's like I find myself again, and I find my strength, and I remember, who I want to be and who I can be. And that came back to me after a few days out on the Route de Rome, and I was able to find an opportunity to overtake a lot of the fleet. And I spent the last 3 days of the race in 10th place, and that was way beyond my expectations at the beginning of the race, and even with a damaged mainsail, and I didn't finish the race in 10th. I was overtaken in the last 8 hours by 2 boats, but I'm immensely proud of that finish. It did show that I've grown, we've grown, we're going in the right direction. We set good objectives at the beginning of the year, and at the end of the year we can turn around and say we did well. But there's no cut off to it, there's no end. We take this and we roll it over into our next objectives, and we're always looking to 2024, and everything that we do as a team is taking us towards making the most of 2024. And so we're definitely celebrating our success in 2022, but we're using that to make sure we are as focused and as strong through 23 into 24. And it's part of an exciting journey, and there's so much more to do.